My crypto creeps, happy to be with you. Yep, it's NonFarm payrolls tomorrow. That otherworldly thing that doesn't exist in the blockchain, that is all about that huge debt bubble that is all going to go wrong, and one of the reasons why many of us are so intrigued by the crypto markets. Welcome, welcome. So, main theme about what I'm going to discuss with you today, by the way. And before I get too deep in, let me just say, after our non-farm payroll traditional markets assessment tomorrow, we do a crypto finds for an hour and a half-hour break in between the two, and a crypto finds, and I run through the crypto market, what we're trading, why we're trading, what Bitcoin does next, in my view, on balance of probabilities, OBP, etc., etc., and across all the major coins. And we do a full-blown analysis of how it may or may not roll. So don't miss that. A link below will be in the YouTube basement somewhere thingy, and you can do the rest if you want to join. Otherwise, just enjoy the clip. So what have I got here? Ethereum, Bitcoin. I've taken Bittrex. It's a tiny little exchange now that I just can't bear to use, but it has a fair amount of history. So we get this earlier period. So kind of 2016, you may or may not recall, but Ethereum was in and around that level to Bitcoin, aka 0.01 of point, in other words, 0.0019, so less than 0.2% of Bitcoin. Less than 0.2% in Bitcoin. This high over here, let's draw. It's so much more fun. It makes me feel like a 3-year-old again. It's such fun. Crayon time. You know, before you got a little lie down on your mat. Who doesn't like a little bit of crayon time at the end of the working day? Still just a kid at heart. So here you go, 0.2% of a Bitcoin. Percent of a Bitcoin, so that means not even 1%, aka a hundredth of a Bitcoin, a fifth of 1% to 15% of a Bitcoin. That's right. And actually it was slightly higher. So that was relative overperformance of such extremity. And a large part of it came in with the ERC20 token, the ICOs, and every scam. Not everyone is a scam, but everybody and its dog with a Me Too offering, not particularly unique. And that remains our problem today as to why I am bearish Ethereum. I'm also bearish Ripple relative to Bitcoin. In other words, I haven't just become in principle a Bitcoin maximalist. I aren't that. I'm a technical trader. I don't marry any of these guys. I'm just saying, and I'm tying in some fundamental narrative as to maybe why these technical charts look so goddamn terrible. So after that pump, and I remember this, I was in consensus. I was chatting with Omar, in fact, shout out to Omar Ban. I chatted to a few other people in the crypto world in 2016 New York. And then you kind of had this range level. After a poke through there and a poke through there, it settled into this range for quite a while and base just below it. Now, what am I talking about? If you look at the two blue numbers, 3%, 1%. 0.01 is 1% of a Bitcoin, 3% of a Bitcoin. That was this range all the way through here. Those two blue lines, there and there. Scribbling he is doing. Note the support after the major capitulation, 15%, all the way back to 3%, bounce all the way back up to over 12%, down, bounce again, 3%, up, only not near as much zip this time, to 4%. Come back. Oh dear, my other YouTubers just finished. Don't you love it when they interrupt you like that, just when you're in full flow? So there we go. Back we are. And that was just a bounce from 3 to 4. Remember, you bounced from 3% here to over 12% after being over 15, knocking on the door, 15.75. We'll let that fly for now. And then you've been as flat as a pancake since. The selling has come down across those tops, and you've been leaning on that 3-4. Then you had the little tipsy through with a snapback defensive rally, pop, one single spike. Remember, we're on a weekly chart up top there, weekly. and weak is the word, by the way, bounce off that ceiling that we have here, these two levels, the 3, and then back you went up to 3.5, and you're about to take it right now. This is a key moment, fellows. This is a key moment. In fact, I've been talking nonsense. I called it 3. This is the 2.5. Forgive me for that error. 2.5. The higher blue line is that one. That matches onto that. That matches onto that, and that matches onto that. It's 2.5. 1/4 of 10%. So we've been bouncing off this 2.5 there, and then there. And guess what's happening now? It ain't bouncing. No, sir, it ain't bouncing relative to the Bitcoin. And what did we have on BTCD? Dominance. We called for a 65% run and said you should sell at 65%. You would have sold at $13,750 at the high, and you would have watched it run down to 9,800 to its low in the most recent move, Bitcoin. On the Bitcoin dominance, let's close this chart. I will come back to him or her. Let's go back to that. Remember, in essence, this is a bit like comparing the euro and the dollar index. For those of you who aren't crypto FX guys, you're going to go, what the hell is he talking about there? Well, what I mean is the one is similar to the other. In other words, when you look at coin market cap, 200, let's call it 210 billion is Bitcoin. The next biggest, 32 billion, is Ethereum. So for when Bitcoin gets dominance, it's going up more than Ethereum. And then when you throw in the sidekick of number 3, the banker coin, they've both gone down significantly less than Bitcoin. You have 31 plus 17. You have about, let's call it 50. You have 50, and you can throw 1 or 2 of the other coins in. You're still not 25% of Bitcoin. So these guys are going to suffer. And I've also said, when I was chatting to Omar and he interviewed me in Acapulco, I said, we still haven't had the rout of all the Me Too meaningless coins. All of these things here do not have unique, significant reasons for existing, I'm afraid. We have not yet had the clean out. How is it that these things are all still going, and don't tell me they are all relevant. And that's the top 100, by the way, of 2,311. 2,311 people, coins. Tell me each one has a totally unique angle and is doing something totally unique. This is still the .com, which has had a bust without the clean out. This is a bust without the clean out. So let's go have a look at that Bitcoin dominance chart that I've been threatening you with. BTCD, ETCD, where is he? Coming. Chop. So many things that I'm watching now. So dominance. Dominance is like the inversion of, delete that nasty volume. Dominance is like the inversion of the FBTC chart. Why? Because Ethereum is such a large part of everything else that isn't Bitcoin. That's why it is. It's same as the euro. What do we have here? Oh my God, we have a Bitcoin dominance setup. Now, before I do this 15-minuter with you, can I also just recall that we had a major upside, and you guys won't fully understand this, but if I do this, we called for a target of 65%. As you recall, it's not gloating to mention it. We don't get everything right. We get loads wrong, etc., yada, yada. The point is that that was made and you had your first snapback sell. We had a break. We ran up to our second interim. You had a snapback sell-off. You went up and you made that 65%. It was initially 64.6 and we got a little wind up, and that 65 was made. If you sold there, you sold 13,700. This sell-off in dominance was a sell-off in crypto contracting generally across the board. They all went down, but because the Mr. Giant went down by a similar percent, it obviously was a bigger amount of market cap that was lost. Now, in terms of what's happening here, we are expecting further moves to the upside. So we've dealt with this structural pattern that was a continuation pattern and its target. and its target was made. Great news. Thank you very much. But what happens next? Well, you rest for a while and you have a pullback for a while, but it's bullish because you're having upside targets being made. So after it winds up again, it goes again potentially. And this is where we're at. In other words, it goes again. And the other weakling in the pack is also Ripple. So one of our proudest calls that you could have hodled as a trade was this convexity on Ripple. Short Ripple on every spike against BTC. And yes, we did have a moment where we came out and said, could it even go up? Has it gone too far? When we saw this, we said, could it even go up? And the minute it started trading down out of that and invalidated, the bear was reverted. But throughout this period, from up top here, every spike was a short. Every spike was a short, and you went convex over, and we pointed that out. This was a continuation downside. It had such momentum, snapback rally. We wondered if it could go up. Didn't, and it's traded down. It's making new lows and can go further, go with the trend. And what is everyone doing? Waiting for alt season, not buying Bitcoin, not trading Bitcoin leverage long, trading all their favorite alts long and wondering why nothing happens, sitting here in the percentage column. That's a great book read, by the way, wrong place, so that's the one I want. Looking in the percentage column, and everything is less than Bitcoin, doing 0.03 on the up days against fiat, going down 2 or 3% in fiat against down days. You are losing against fiat in an environment that Bitcoin is going up. You are not making Bitcoin value, you are reducing your Bitcoin value. If you just hodled, you would at least maintain it, and with its organic growth at least hold, by jumping all into exotic alts that are actually not moving. This is going to be a Bitcoin dominance meme, and I'm not sure it's over yet. Yes, they're all at lows, but they have... What are their reasons for existing? If new money is coming in, it's going into the liquidity. Trust me, family office that have now decided to put 2 or 3% into crypto, is putting 5% to gold, and is putting its usual 40% into bonds and 38% into mutual funds on the S&P 500, etc. They don't want to buy something that's 30 billion market cap when they can buy a 210 billion market cap, and they can get the hell out of it. There's already a proper derived market on it, etc., etc., etc. It's been around for over 10 years. While all the others are 1 or 2 years old. That's not that Bitcoin is the fastest coin. It's not that Bitcoin is the newest generation. It's not that it'll even technologically be the leader. I'm not sure. I don't have a view. I don't get the feeling it is. I try to stay out of trying to be the tech expert on that. I just tell you where the money flows are going for now. The season will change, and we'll change with it when it happens. It is not an alt season, and everyone sits waiting for an alt season, and they keep watching Bitcoin being the main driver of everything. It is your God market. This Ripple, every time you bought a spike and chased in, you were handed losses. Every time you bought. These are the guys that did a major overmine, holdback of their own overmine, almost as big as Lumen's ones, and they're sitting on that, and they want you to revalue their coins as all-time highs. By the way, on that very chart, this level was supposed to hold. There was a chance you could have had a spike and a hold. This level failed to hold. September 18th, heart of the bear market, guys. We bottomed in December. Heart of the bear market to Bitcoin. A major, hey, we got to try keep Ripple up. What did it do? Yeah, thanks for throwing all that cash in there. What did it do? One small bounce because it came here. And in fact, a continuation pattern wind up to break that level. These are dying next to Bitcoin. The new money is not wanting Ripple, and is not even wanting Ethereum, but particularly not wanting Ripple. They can try raise cash and do a money spike. They probably, the insiders, are selling themselves, recognizing there's no demand for their token on any great scale. They need a bull market so badly, and when the bull market comes, it all goes into Bitcoin. So that's where we're at. Now you have these two underperforming and making new lows, and you're thinking, but it has to stop here. Well, it didn't stop there. It doesn't have to stop here. And if you rescale, you can go lower. Everyone thinks, you know, it can't go lower than what it once was there. Well, actually it can. You can get a Ripple on a different exchange to Bitfinex with maybe a bit more history, and you can see where it came in. This is a big problem. Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin is the trade. Trade with the liquidity, trade with the dominant, trade it against the fiat, and also in the bearish moments, you can even trade Bitcoin against, or not even the bearish, the benign, congesting, minor pullback, minor upside. You can trade Bitcoin against the alts. How is that Bitcoin Ripple? You see him. How is that Bitcoin Ethereum? Let's have a look at it again over here. Look at this. New lows, new lows. I'm looking for 17 as a target. 17. What is 17? Let's just be clear. It's 1.76%. And it's at 2.5 now. It's falling through the 2.5 line. It's falling through that key 2.5 line. This is what's happening. This is a continuation pattern. Don't sit there and look at that and say it's bottoming to me. It isn't bottoming yet. It ain't over. It's been lying on and leaning on this blue line floor since time immemorial. That scaling has got a bit moved there. There you go. It woke up in the end. This is what's happened. This has been a line in the sand determined by Vitalik, Ethereum Council, whoever's running that ship, that they don't rather not see the valuation of their coin fall down, and they're throwing resources to try pump it up beyond that. And in the beginning they had lots of resources. Now as cash burn continues, they have less resources as it gets near, less resources to maintain coin value and maintain their options that the guys are getting coins for, their staff, whatever the case may be. There's a remunerative element to this. Their portfolios, they'll go write programs for themselves if they're no longer making money on their Ethereum. This is very weak. I'm looking for 1766, 1.76% of a Bitcoin, less than 2% by some way. That's a big percentage fall from 25. In other words, short 10 at 25, 2.5. Come back when it's 1.75 and you've made quite a bit. You've made 7.5 over there, probably at least well over 35%. Okay, that's it. The dominance theme is not necessarily over. We'll finish on the dominance chart. One more peek. The dominance is not necessarily over. I didn't go back to the short time frame. I think it's actually on the short time frame about to assert. You guys all want a short time frame trade because you live for the moment. You don't want to learn process, he said. You rather just get a fish for the day than learn fish. Some of you. I'm being a bitch. I know that. Most of you are actually out to learn. And that's cool and good. Come to crypto session tomorrow. You'll have to plug in for your hard-earned. This is a continuation pattern. This is our 65% level. That doesn't mean it can't go down. It doesn't mean I'm 100% accurate. On balance of probabilities, I would argue this is bumping up and will want to go up. This is a little steep for my liking under there, but this didn't come down very hard. In a percentage term, on balance of probabilities, I'm expecting that to go higher. How much higher? It's not going to be a huge amount. It's a much smaller pattern than that which I showed you before. But if you do that, you're going to get a geometry somewhere around, I would say around there. So going for 66.5. Remember, maybe a little more, and you can get a small amount of overperformance in this. How do I be wrong on this call? You've always got to ask on all of them. You could be wrong in that it just breaks this as a sort of lower grind line and breaks down. But these up legs are quite strong, and it's bumping up against a level that it's thinking long and hard about. Are we going to jump above 66%? And my suspicion is that you would. That means Bitcoin runs. That means the others don't run as much, or Bitcoin moves a little bit and the others flatline or even dip. And none of those things are good for you sitting in alts. Your alts may even lose fiat, never mind losing Bitcoin value. Okay, I'm Francis Hunt, the crypto sniper. Come and join us in the link below for our session tomorrow. All the best to you, and see you then soon. And this is not trading advice. It is just my opinion and entertainment, hopefully. Enjoy, and I'll catch you live on the NonFarm and the Friday crypto finds. And if you purchase, you'll be sent a link to the GoToMeeting event. So click and do the necessary, it'll be sent. Bye.